Got my ass.
Okay, we're just preparing for the C-SPAN coverage of the aliens hearing. Of the aliens are definitely real. Headed up by Senator Rich Balls from Kansas.
All right, guys, I'm back from the mothership.
Excuse me, point of order. I don't have a gavel. Now, why was I not given a gavel for this entire setup?
I think it was taken.
Somebody took my gavel. I don't need my gavel back.
Now we have a crisis of legitimacy going on right now.
Yes. Yes.
We need to seem as serious as possible, as capable as possible. We're gonna do some super serious business in here.
I'm very serious. I'm so super
The
serial right now.
most serious business you have ever encountered is happening in this room. We got the generals, and we got the pilot, and we got the judges, and we got the people
What if
and the
instead?
cameras.
What if instead aliens? Ooh, wait, that's Doctor Who. Sorry, I fucked that up.
You make a compelling argument, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Fine, let's do it. Fine, aliens.
I'd like to call. Former FBI informant Jeffrey McJeffrey to the stand. Jeffrey McJeffrey, could you please present your testimony, your opening statement for this inquiry?
Jeffrey here. They had earless ears. They had earless ears. And earlobes. Little sharp teeth.
Okay, who had
And
earlobes and sharp teeth?
it was like a magic hypercube. It came out of nowhere. I could see it in the fifth dimension.
You could see.
Fifth dimension.
You could see in dimensions beyond what the human eye is capable of seeing.
Yeah, it was a cube with a circle in it. It was insane. You should have seen it, man. You should have seen it, but it stopped and it left. Never to be seen again.
You saw a hypercube.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and it moved all weird. It did like a Rube Goldberg puzzle to get here.
Yes.
I don't know why it was doing all that. It could have just came over here, but it was like sliding down a ramp and knocking over a swing, like a pendulum, like right on top of it and roll off the other side. It was insane, man. You should have seen it. You should have seen it.
Okay, and what was this rampening happening?
A rampening?
What was this?
No, I just told you it was sliding.
You indicated that it was sliding and rampening throughout reality
Yes, it was doing all kinds of tricks.
in
Sir.
the fifth dimension.
Your Honor, yes, in the fifth, but also the fourth and the third dimensions, yes.
The fifth, but also the fourth and the sixth, and the fifth. You say?
No, it skipped the sixth. It was in the seventh briefly, but we didn't get much chance to perceive that, so we had to stick to the fifth and the fourth and the third.
And could you confirm what exactly you saw, sir?
It looked like the X-Files. It looked like what is that movie? Independence Day. I just seen that the night before, but it looked a lot like Independence Day.
Totally unrelated.
Totally unrelated.
Well, which X-Files are we talking about here now? Are we talking about the alien lore episodes of the
We're
X-Files, or are we discussing one of the many?
We're talking about only the good ones.
The lore episodes prior to season 6.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking about now. Did he look like the alien bounty hunter who was played by that very handsome?
Well, I didn't get a look at him. It was in the hypercube, so he wasn't in the right dimensional space to be seen. But
no, that dude was like a Nordic god.
Hey, sir, excuse me, Ms. Buzz Killington. You'll have your turn to testify. I'm interrogating the witness here.
Yeah, you'll get your chance. I gotta tell him about my hypercubes. Be sure to get my good side.
Yes,
Not there. Camera B, the other one. Yeah.
Now this hypercube. From your report here, I'm reading in your notes. It touched you in a variety of ways. Only 30% of them sensual. What were the other 70% was touching you, sir?
It was completely insensual, like on my inside, but not in a good way. In a spleen tickling way. Have you ever had your spleen tickled? There's a lot like that. Spleen tickling goodness. Also the kidneys, and the spleen, and that's about it though. It didn't.
I'm sorry, I'm reclaiming my time here, sir. I would like to I'd like to confirm, it was exploring you on the inside, but not sensually. A cube.
Only about 69.75% sensually, sir.
Okay, because in your report it was 30%. You're now saying it was 69.75%?
No, 69.96%, sir.
69.96%. How does one measure that low of a percentage on sensual touching?
It was a very distinct touching, sir.
Very distinct.
I would if it was 70, I would know.
Okay, I'd like to thank the witness for their time. I'd like to now call on Miss Kaylee, Vanessa, Sandra, Sonia Doris, Buzz Killington to the stand.
Yes, sir, and thank you.
Yes. No, go ahead. I'd like to hear your opening statement and what you witnessed before we begin this inquiry.
Well, I'm not sure as far as I have not witnessed those beings, but I do have something important to say. Sure. I think. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kaylee Buzzkill.
It is 11 in the morning. Point of order.
Oh, I have more surprise evidence.
Mister, you will be allowed to discuss it in the free for all moments.
Well, I got some. I just thought of some.
Well, excuse me, sirs. I'm going to explain why it is critically important to uncover the cover-up.
Please.
Now, my husband is a member of the 22nd Special Tactics Squadron stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord, and he told me that his buddy in the squadron told him that a pilot at his last deployment told him that many pilots and aircraft carrier crews see these so-called UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomenon, nearly every week.
We have reports that the military has reported several WAPs. I agree, the WAPs, and go on.
Well, he says they see him almost every week, and so the last time he came home late, he said that everybody on the flight line had been kept behind after their regular hours because they were being debriefed
about the WAPs.
Yeah, but when I figured out his password and I broke into his phone later that night after he went to bed, I found many shocking text messages exchanged between him and other members of his squadron, including a message stating, and I quote, "I love when my ass is your boner garage." Okay, so I immediately went to our home computer and I found out when I checked my keystroke recorder, it was unbelievable. When my husband was supposedly decompressing and clearing his head, he had been visiting sites with names like Jizz Roulette and NoLoadsRefuse.com, and there is only one explanation. These, you said WAPs?
Yes.
WAPs are clearly brainwashing our brave servicemen to try to turn them gay.
Do you think that the aliens are trying to turn our servicemen into homosexuals?
Well, I think that's already happening.
You think it's already happening?
Well, I know my husband did not find those websites by himself.
Could it be that your husband is part of an anonymous gay sex organization within the military and is enjoying the fruits of his homosexual labor?
Well,
that doesn't make any sense. I disagree.
Excuse me, sir. It's not your turn to speak, sir.
First of all, sir, we have a daughter. Excuse me. First of all, we have a daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And second of all, I mean, would our great nation's military be a repository for that kind of person? I think not.
A repository for loads that were not refused.
Exactly.
Well, I'm convinced, at least in your testimony, that there's something worth investigating here myself. I'll be going to that website for several hours this evening to do further investigation. And do you have any final statements you'd like to make on this matter?
Thank you for asking, sir. I think as a matter of national security, we need to increase funding for the Space Force because, for Pete's sake, they're coming for our husbands. And right now, according to my calculations and what I read on the internet, which as you know, it must be true.
Correct.
Our current funding is only $23.6 billion for the Space Force. And do you not think that it is worth more to preserve our American way of life?
The inquiry is not on whether or not it is worth preserving our way of life, which it is worth preserving. But I would like a point of order that I'd like to make a note. The Space Force will stop spending $4.6 billion on windbreakers because, of course, space is much colder than that. We're going to get some big winter coats for up there. If that changes your calculus at all.
Well, I'm sure I don't know. I'm not on the appropriations committee, but I would just like it to be considered. And thank you very much for my time.
Yeah, of course. And now you, Mr. Chester McLester, do you have anything you'd like to add to this tribunal on aliens?
No. Oh God.
So you came
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So I got something to say.
I yield my time to the gentleman.
Excuse me. We will move to the free for all stage here soon, where we will let the audience scream over each other.
So I got something to say about these supposed aliens, sir.
This is highly unorthodox, considering we are in the middle of a very serious investigation about aliens.
Sir, I got pressing evidence. Conclusive evidence of the aliens' existence and the military involvement. All right, so I was totally swimmered one night. I don't know what I was on. I was on all kinds of shit, but I was on it. And I saw it fall from the sky, like a tear or a small meteorite, just hitting with a slight boom and a warm glow. So I went up to it and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Well, I mean, that's what you would say if you was there, you know. I don't imagine you would be like, I don't really care about what this thing is that fell from the sky. But when I got to it, I saw it and it was metallic. Oh, it was a strange kind of metal because it was warm and hot, but it wasn't really when you touched it. Of course, I touched it with my bare hands because that's what a real American does. So it's a little bit hard to describe because it was like a little bit like a ring and a little bit like a torus, like all twisted up, but not really because it was just like a ring. So it's a little bit of both. You can't really describe it. It's I don't know. It's alien stuff, right? Lightweight, vibrating, almost like a faint hum. Like a vibrator. It was just humming like a vibrator, and I believe it was an alien cock ring, and they dropped it off their ship, and it rolled when they weren't paying attention, and it fell off the ship, and it landed next to me, and that's how I had it. But my thing is, where did they take it? Where did they take my alien cock ring? No one knows. And then strangely, right after, we got new turbine materials. We got alien cock ring turbine jet thruster cum rockets. That's what we got. Sold to Papa Elon for his satellite usage.
Excuse me, I've allowed this to go on long enough. Are you accusing Elon Musk of operating a dick rocket?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to make it point of order.
Intentionally alien materials.
Excuse me, I'm reclaiming my time. Point of order. The dick rocket is not up for debate, and that has nothing to do with alien materials. Those were Earth-made. We allowed him to make the penis rocket.
You allowed
Sonny,
him to make
But it was a
the
cock ring.
penis.
It was a little thing with it. You wrapped around his. He did that.
point of order. Yes, that's what we did with all those foreskins Bill Gates was collecting.
Oh, well, I yield my time then.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and now we'd like to move on to the part of hearing where the audience gibbers like a bunch of mindless yokels, largely yelling over each other.
I love this part. It's my favorite.
It is the best part, yes. All right, so yeah, that's thank you. That's scene. That was our alien. That's our take on the aliens because that was a bunch of fucking gibberish. I can't believe assholes were like they're real. They're real. This guy saw his testimony was literally I know a guy in the intelligence community and he swears his buddy saw them. That's it. By the way, this is like the 19th
Hashtag
time. This is the 19th.
real
This
talk.
actually, the real news in there was that Congress has fucked around with this guy 19 times and allowed him to waste American taxpayer money and time on this. 19 fucking times. And this is the one that got popular and people are like, "Can you believe there's aliens? What is wrong with this goddamn society? What's wrong with the lot of you? Jesus Christ. Look at what Biden's doing." And you know what? The Republicans, to note,
It was like the government said it's real. It must be real.
the government didn't say it's real to themselves and then it got leaked or declassified. The government said it was real in fucking public. And even better, the testimony was literally, my friend, I was at the school when Seymour Skinner and Enna Krabappel were making babies. They had the babies in the closet with them while they were making more babies. One of the babies laughed at me, Senator. The baby laughed at you. The baby laughed at me, Senator. The freshly made baby laughed at me. Yes. It was that. It was that level of fucking testimony to fucking, Ralph Wiggum to his goddamn dad. And people were like, my stars. And it's like,
The baby's at home, like I got him.
this guy's done this 19 times, and what should be outrage worthy and shocking about this whole situation, not that the government has lied to us about aliens, which the guy's testimony again was, and I shit you not, it was, hey, my buddy saw an alien one time. His buddy swears it's true. It was the
Who's
fact they've done this
financially
19
backing this
times.
dude?
I don't fucking right wingers. This guy used to work for the FBI and apparently lost his fucking plot, if he ever had his fucking plot.
Oh, he never had his plot.
Probably not. I mean, there's a reason he's probably not working there anymore. He's not that old. You can tell he's still old enough to be working there if he wasn't cuckoo fucking banana birds. And Congress just lets him do this. They just let him go there and they have fucking hearings on it. And I swear to fuck, it's literally to appease the Republic. The reason they have to be doing it is if the Republicans are pissing around with this, we can make them look stupid. Which fair, they do look stupid, right? But what kind of insidious shit are you up to that you're dicking around with this and you'd rather waste time on this than having an actual fucking hearing?
Yeah, I don't.
That's the outrage point. You're paying for that. You're paying for this guy to be like, I saw the babies and they laughed at me. You're paying for that. That's the part nobody's fucking outraged about. Everyone's like, can you believe there's aliens? What has Joe Biden's government done that he needs pull the alien guy out, shove him on TikTok?
When was the last time somebody passed an actual piece of legislation that wasn't part of reconciliation, appropriations bill? What do they call that? The omnibus?
Nigh on 40 years.
Nylon since Ronald
Right?
Reagan. Yeah.
So it's totally cool to fuck around with this guy, for what? 3 days, a week?
Yeah.
How? And they're like, oh, well, this is ripe for more study. This is ripe for more fucking meetings you're going to get paid to attend that don't actually occur, but it doesn't matter because you don't show up for them anyway.
Yeah.
I gotta waste 10 hours.
Right, but it takes up a block on your schedule so that you look super busy and you can go make more fundraising calls.
Yeah. You can just step out of the hearing and be like, well, today's fuck around hearing day. Good. I can go make some fundraising calls. That'd be great. I'd like to make more money. I got to go beg. What in the happy horse shit is this bullshit? And they're letting this happen. I mean, like, the thing is, like, Democrats have the ability to fight back against this shit, and clearly, like, they're permissive. You know what I mean? And this is different than, like, ooh, we should have part of the like, here, devil's advocate. I really genuinely 100% believe the government should be paying a team of scientists to look for exoplanets and exobiology. I genuinely do. I genuinely believe that is something the government can be aware of if it's possible. I think the whole planet should be aware of that if it is possible. The damn counterpoint is that you don't need some guy whose evidence is, dude, I saw the babies. No, but I saw the babies. Why doesn't anybody ever believe me that I saw the babies? We don't need to pay for that guy to show up and say that shit about his third-hand, incredible testimony with zero fucking names attached to it. I can't tell you who saw the babies, but Senator, they saw the babies. And this guy's an honest dude. Do you understand? Like, no, he's an honest dude. And he saw the babies. We don't need any of that shit. That's what kills me. That's what fucking kills me about this shit. Like, it really bothers me. Like, out of all the egregious things capitalism does, like, the rest of it I just expect, right? I can be mortified by it, but I can't be surprised by it. Like, when you tell me some horrors of fucking of fucking anti-black racism, anti-Semitism, anti-Latinoism, anti-fucking Muslim thought, whatever, right? You tell me about the horrors of that, I am mortified but never shocked. And I am genuinely, like, still reduced to surprise that this is the shit they're willing to fucking debase themselves in. Instead of just lying or just being like, yeah, LOL, we're not going to work. It would be less offensive to me if they're just like, yeah, we're just not going to do our jobs. Our jobs, not to do them. We're not doing them. It's not happening, folks.
Not it. Everybody bail.
Like, that is the stuff. That is the stuff that really fucking just eats me at my core. I want you to understand, most of these people came from situations where they were millionaires. Like, Bernie didn't. Bernie has worked up to $1 million doing work, not labor, right? Doing this particular job. Okay. And when people are like, you know, Bernie's a fucking millionaire, well, I got news for you. Like, if he's only made like a couple million doing this job, like, he has done it wrong. Okay, because Nancy Pelosi is sitting comfortably in at least the double to $3 million digits, or three, you know, triple digit millions, fucking around and letting this shit happen, just letting this go unchecked. Chuck Schumer's the same way. You know, these kind of people. Like, they were already millionaires, and they were like, how can we make our wealth increase 100-fold without ever lifting a goddamn finger? And this is where the fuck we're at. It's just obnoxious. It's obnoxious, and it offends me in a really deep, like, visceral way. Like, you can tell there's still a part of me that is just like, I wish America functioned properly. You can tell it's still there, because I shouldn't be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised that they're this insulting to people. And I'm honestly really kind of shocked at how many fucking morons bought this shit from this dumbass. That guy's
I
dumber
think the
than a blind.
general consensus seems to have been that, you know, life's too terrible for any of this shit to matter anyway.
But that's different than that's the problem though. That's still dramatically different than, can you fucking believe the audacity of these assholes? It's so different. Can you believe the audacity of these bitches to pull that shit?
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what? You know what?
Yes, I can.
Well, it's just like, how is it audacious if they know they will never be held to any account? It's common sense at that point. Like, let's say you're not directly on the committee, and it's like, oh, by the way, we're all gonna get a day off if we just, you know, go home. Like, don't worry about, like, what's going on over there. Like, that's the reason that we can all just sort of, like, duck out early and have, like, a super long weekend. And as long as you don't, like, ask a whole lot of questions about what's going on over there, you get that free time off.
But our anger should not be at the fucking yokels in Congress who are, like, really invested in this fucking moron story. Those people are clearly so stupid they shouldn't be able to, like, operate a vehicle bigger than, like, one of those fucking feet-powered cars for babies, right? We know that. That's self-evident that they're like, this guy is a serious witness. If you think he's serious about anything in his life, right there, you're like, you have like, you are more mentally incompetent than somebody with catatonia in an active flare up. Okay, that's the kind of level that you should be like under. It's like severe care and watched to make sure you don't drown in the rain. We know that that's coming out of them. The people who are allowing it to gain benefit from it, again, like a Pelosi or a Schumer, those are the people you really should be focusing more of your ire on, and like, absolutely attacking them in their own district about it. When people are like, you're attacking a Democrat, Republican will win. You know what? If that's the quality of Democrat you have, fuck them. Fuck them. Like, that is an attack you need to level, that they are letting this shit go on. It is a goddamn mockery of order. And when you hear people talk, like, those are the same people who are like, you don't sound like you're a very serious voter. Motherfucker, I see what you allow and permit. You're not a serious person. You can't be fucking serious, and I'm supposed to take you, like, at anything. I'm not supposed to believe you're an honest actor. I can't believe you're a serious person. You're just a goddamn robot with programming in your head. You fucking people are always like, oh, look at them, they're all brainwashed. No, they're not brainwashed. They're mentally ill. You're brainwashed. That is the distinct difference. You are a fucking program. You are a goddamn motherboard that is blank and programmed with this shit. They are just fucking insane. Their brains work in a bad way. Your brain is reprogrammable at any moment for whatever messaging is appropriate in the second. You're a dog. You are a trained dog right now. True, you were gonna say something?
I did something. This is related. I did something really horrible to myself. Like, I didn't have anything to watch, and I'm a dork. And I was scrolling around, and I saw a beautiful photograph. That was a Hubble Space Telescope photograph. I recognized it because I'm such a dork. And I remember, when we were young and the world was full of promise, I remember some of the really dope stuff that came back from the telescope as soon as it was up there and running. We all got to see it. And, even then, you may dimly remember in our childhoods, you may dimly remember an argument surrounding the thing about whether it was too expensive, there's no reason to do it or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you may remember, like, the typical, like, oh, well, the government can't do anything right type bullshit as, like, the cost went up on the thing, which is, obviously nobody in here gives a shit. That's a fucking fake number. But, like, people were very mad. It's one of those things you're allowed to be mad about the government spending money on if you're a Democrat or a Republican.
And like, wasn't
faith.
there something with like one of the lenses that everybody was like, just like, oh my god? And it's like, dude, it's this massive fucking incredible thing. Like,
nobody's done it before. It's one of the only good things that we all got together and did, and they're still making some guy rich with it. Like, okay, but everything's fine with the lens, but like, okay, like, so I'm scrolling around and see this beautiful Hubble Space Telescope picture as a thumbnail for something, and what it is it's a documentary about the thing that you may recall getting announced after Hubble, which at the time they called the NGST, the Next Generation Space Telescope.
Yeah.
And it ends up being the Webb telescope, which, as I understand, is up and functioning now. But okay, Netflix. I look down in the corner of the thumbnail and I see a little red N, and I'm like, all right, well, let's face it. I know what I'm getting into. Netflix is essentially the streaming arm of the Democratic Party at this point, right?
Right.
Like, Netflix is essentially the codified tip of the spear of the lance of neoliberalism as it exists in America in 2023, of its cultural approach to media domination, right?
Yeah.
So I know what I'm in for. I'm like, all right, let's go, Barack Obama. What do you want for me to know about the Webb telescope? Right? I'm going to get to look at some pictures while you're trying to tell me exactly what you want me to think about it. But, I'm going to get to look at the pictures. So it's about what you would expect. It's just, it's a documentary made perfectly for the well-behaved subject of the ruling party of the two very different parties, right? It's it starts out with the astronomer girl is 4 and she lives in Kansas, and there's magical photos of her in the 80s, stargazing, and shit. Okay, so she grows up to be the astronomer. She's a big fucking deal. She's ascended to godhood because she's, the professional managerial class, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
She worked on this thing for almost 20 years. But towards the end of the project, right, just like with Hubble, there's a big show. They put on a big performance of dragging these people before Congress and making them answer all these questions, okay? Like,
About
oh,
aliens.
right. But it's like sort of the 2010 or 2011 kind of version of the one that we saw in the 90s, right? Okay. So right then and there, when I saw that, like just a repeat of this other event, but like with a couple of knobs turned up, like right there, I already started to get a little sick. I was like, okay, I want to look at the beautiful space photographs, and I want to see the dope photography of this fucking giant assembly of hexagonal mirrors, which has its own fucking solar array, has its own goddamn. It's so dope, dude. But I want to look at it, but I'm also getting like a little sick, right? Because whenever you see those glimpses into the thing perfectly iterating itself again a few years later, but like more though, you're like, this is all going one place. Capitalism has a terminus. Like, okay, right. So I was
Mm-hmm.
getting that feeling, but I kept fucking watching, right? Because I want to see the fucking telescope. And toward the end of it, they bring in this fucking Swiss psychopath that apparently is some kind of like business manager or something. And you stop seeing shots of the thing at NASA, and you start seeing shots of the inside of a Northrop Grumman facility, right? But this is not addressed in the documentary at all. The voiceover in the documentary continues to just spin wild Star Trek-esque tales of like coming together for the common good to do space communism and shit. Like it's Star Trek, bro. Like the fucking narration does not address the fact at all that most of these processes, parts, employees, and everything just becomes part of Northrop Grumman. Toward the end of the testing, when they're almost done with the thing, they have to take it back to NASA because that's the only fucking place that they have the goddamn cryo chamber. They have a room big enough to put something in it and pretend it's in fucking space. That's the only time that it's ever been built is back when we really were doing space communism to the best of, what we could. We were doing Apollo. We were trying to beat the commies, but we still came together and used a little bit of that commie sauce to try to beat them, right? We pooled the resources of way more people than live in Florida to create a fucking pretend space room, right? Big enough to put Apollo in, and definitely big enough to put this fucking space telescope in, right? So toward the end of the testing, they drag the motherfucker back up the fucking highway, clankety clank, with our fucking billions of dollars on a fucking big covered truck and ram it in the fuck only because things drifted away from us even being able to have a fully nationalized space program. For that reason, they rode it up the fucking road. And okay, when I see that shit, when I see them put the fucker on the, because you can't just, of course you can't have the facility where we're just gonna borrow the government shit after we talked shit about how the government wasn't good at this, and then also privatized a lot of it. We're just gonna go borrow the government shit right fast, okay? Because it's almost like only a structure the size of the state. It's almost like only a structure the size of the state can effectively do any of this fucking shit. It's
Yeah.
almost like that. But anyway, there's a point in the documentary where I had to turn it off. I assume that the thing is functioning, but I'm not sure if it is because I didn't finish the documentary. I didn't fucking finish the documentary, okay? I didn't fucking finish it. I want to see the goddamn space pictures and shit so fucking bad because I'm such a fucking dork, okay? But I didn't finish the fucking documentary because it got to a scene where a guy's holding a handful of bolts, and the narration says one of the real stopping points was when we were doing these vibration tests, all these bolts came out because they weren't fastened. I mean, people are going to have to be held accountable, and it's some manager that they've been talking to, some elevated godhead type dude that they've been talking to. The whole time they've been talking to these dudes, okay, about how somebody has to be held accountable and how did these screws fall out. Okay, they've been showing pictures of people who are doing basically an assembly job, right?
Yeah.
They're wearing little suits. They're going in the clean room and they're fucking pushing the shit around and pulling levers and dragging pieces of it around and doing all this shit every fucking day for some period of hours, presumably making hourly. Hell. And this is where I started to get really sick. This is where I almost had to throw up and I had to turn the fucking movie off. I thought that could have just posted that shit. Northrop Grumman or NASA or who the fuck ever, they probably just posted some shit in the fucking newspaper in stupid fucking Florida that said some shit like, $18 to $24 an hour assembler. And it's the fucking telescope that's going to be powerful enough to fucking see first light, to be able to look back in time and see the fucking beginning of creation. It's going to view the face of God, you fucking pieces of shit. It's the coolest thing anybody got. Okay,
I just want to point out that would be union. That would be a government rate on a union job, so that would be like 30 an hour.
Right. It would be better. It would be better if that's specifically who it was. But it's also possible. It's also possible that they didn't hire out. It's also possible that a bunch of engineer assholes insisted on doing it themselves. And okay, so at this point, there can only be one of two reasons that the fucking screws fell out. And I'm afraid to find out the answer, though. I think I probably will eventually by accident. You know when something bothers you so bad, and you're like, I ain't looking at this shit. It's gonna fucking piss me off. I ain't looking that shit up. And then, you just kind of accidentally side-eye that shit eventually, somehow.
And you eventually kind of look that shit up.
Yeah. I'm probably eventually gonna fucking find out which specific situation that it is, because I've done so much of this shit, and I've done so much fucking factory shit with these assemblers. I'm just going to keep thinking about it. Either they hired out and then treated those guys like, even though they were building the satellite that's going to view the face of God, treated those guys like they was just regular and talked to them about meeting deadlines and shit like that all the time and insulted them so fucking bad that they either half-assed it or sabotaged it on purpose, which would be kind of funny. Right? Like a bunch of Florida rednecks leaned up against the fucking facility smoking with their little clean room hoods pulled down around their necks, and they're like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm starting to think maybe old telescope ain't gonna make it to fucking space. I'm about to sit here and fucking telescope. It's lunchtime 30 minutes ago, and I gotta listen to some Swiss motherfucker tell me that if I don't fasten that, it's gonna drop a fucking $14 million mirror off. Well, motherfucker, I'll never see no $14 million if I lived 100 fucking lives. And if you say that shit to me again, I'm gonna loosen the fucking screws on purpose. You see what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So either it was that, or they just let a bunch of essentially engineer class dudes just try to do every step of a complicated assembly like that themselves. And also, as they go, you kind of got to develop techniques, and you kind of got to learn from what actually fails during the assembly process. You got to use plain old mechanical up close intuition about whether or not this shit is going to work or not, and get it all ready to give it its very expensive trip into NASA's fake space room that apparently only they have.
You don't get multiple tries.
No, it's got to be right. And they fucked that part of it up, and I turned the shit off. And, like I say, I'll probably find out more about it. But when I got to the part where I knew that it could only be those two reasons the screws fell out, the one thing that would never, ever happen under this formation of society, that would never, ever happen under this formation of capitalism, would be that people would just get to skippy-doo on in there and build something important and fucking high-five each other and fucking do it right without worrying about a bunch of horse shit. I just knew that it can only be one of the two shitty situations I laid out, and never a situation where the people's fucking assembly force went in there singing about the joy of seeing every angle of creation and built the fucker with smiles on their faces. That's impossible. That's impossible under this formation of society. And a little bit of the Star Trek dork in me, was starting to die and get very sick. And I turned the movie off.
Some things are always
cowardly
gonna die.
Did you guys think it was cowardly of me to not watch the rest of the movie? I shouldn't have watched it to begin with.
No.
It's fine.
It's all right to walk out.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up because the photography was great. I was really enjoying the photography.
I really like the production values.
If I had vowed to watch this fucker muted, and then never looked up anything about the telescope, I would have had a great time.
I really enjoy the production values on the Obama movie about it.
But it maybe if you guys have stronger stomachs than me when it comes to things that cross over between like dope space shit and factory jobs, like you guys understand why this bothered me so much. Like maybe if you guys have less sensitive stomachs where that kind of subject matter is concerned, do check out the Netflix documentary about the space telescope.
You gotta check it out. It's pretty good.
I'm sure many people who aren't me specifically would be able to enjoy it very much and not get violently ill.
I think there's a lot of people who could have a lot of fun doing this thing. I can't, but I think you could. I'm sorry, I don't even know why I'm talking like that. It's just kind of fun. I don't know, man. I was looking at the capitalism, and boy, it's bad. You know that? You find that out? I found it out. Capitalism is no me gusta.
It's the endless choice between two equally shitty things that just different parts of it are shitty or whatever. Or more than two.
Capitalism. Ew, no.
It's like
The
getting
endless
kicked in the
choice of
pee-pee.
the shitty things.
So cringe.
Capitalism's kind of like getting kicked in the pee-pee. You ever get kicked in the pee-pee? That's capitalism, basically.
No, you get to choose between being kicked in the pee-pee or kicked in the butthole. You get to choose.
Yeah, you get to choose. Capitalism kind of sucks because it's like you want to get kicked in your pee-pee or in your butthole, and it's like.
No, but you're betting against the chance that, like, maybe someday you'll be getting to be the one that does the kicking.
Yeah.
For that.
This is the average capitalism enjoyer. If I try real hard, one day they're gonna let me kick in the butthole, and that's gonna be fun. I like kicking in a butthole.
Yep, that's perfect. Yep.
You know what I
I
never
got my
got
nice.
to do?
I got a sharp boot I'm gonna wear. I got a boot with like one of those big Mexican curly pointy toes, but it
Yeah.
straightens out when I'm getting ready to kick you in your butthole. It straightens out to like a foot long spear
I ain't
with
trying to
sequins
brag or
on it.
nothing, but I really like kicking people in the butthole. So I think I'm gonna stick with capitalism, my friend.
It's
I
when
take
somebody.
pride in
Got a
my
friend
butthole
and
kicking.
Did you guys ever?
You can bitch about it all you want, but at the end of the day, it's just about me kicking in buttholes, and I really don't care about the consequences of my actions.
Now wait, hold on. We're making a lot of fun of capitalism. Now that
Yeah.
we've brought up the Mexican boots, now that somebody brought up the Mexican boots with the awesome pointy toes,
Who
I
did that?
don't know who that was.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know who
who.
brings those up all the time. Now that
don't
somebody
forget
brought
don't
those up,
forget steel toes.
oh yes. Now that somebody brought those up, I do have to mention, the free market, there are a few little shining points of light, and for instance, there is a great variety available of different kinds of dope Mexican boots with pointy toes and stuff curling off the toes, and stuff on the toe. Have you guys ever seen the one picture that I keep to post occasionally is it's the ones that have whole taxidermied cobras coming up out of the tips of the toes.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing.
That does sound
So
pretty cool.
dope. I'm gonna have to grab it real quick and put it in the chat. Hang on, I'm gonna have to get it because it's
not a ferret.
it's just so great.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that about the boots.
But it's there's no giant. It's worth pointing out also that there's no giant Mexican boot corporation. That these things are probably all lovingly handcrafted by probably gangs of dudes who have different styles and like militantly fashioned boots to like be doper than the other guys' boots like at all time. Like it's probably like due to that kind of competition. Outside of a market that could be completely controlled and manipulated with fake money.
Fake ass bitch money from the capitalists. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of loving this voice.
You're McLovin' it?
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, so there's a pretty good shot of some with some whole taxidermy cobras. Download file again, it says. This must be the same one that I got when I was looking this shit up before, and I finally stopped on it, and I was like, I'll just post that one. see if I can get the fucking chat to work.
You're just obsessed with taxidermy cobra shoes.
Well, they fucking like. Okay, look at that shit. Right now, that
Those
is an
fucking rule,
iteration.
though.
That is an iteration, and they're snake skin too. By the way,
Amazing.
they're also snake skin.
Okay, that's pretty baller. Let me give you that.
Mm,
What is
I just want to meet the guy who saw a snake and saw some boots and was like,
Yes. They
This
say
is the time.
maybe we should put them together.
the scientists say we can't, but we know that they're lying.
That's what I'm getting at here. Is that these are totally awesome, independent, artisanally, small batch produced things. That this is that. What's so dope about this is that you don't see 10 bajillion people with these because there's not even 10 bajillion cobras. You got to kill 2 snakes to even have these boots.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just buying into the big snake industry's lies.
Yeah, listen to you working for Big fucking Snake Boot right now.
Big Snake Boot totally sounds like like a Fallout villain or like
How much the big snake book pay you, huh? Huh?
How much they pay you for your shit? You're in with Big. It's like being in with Big Jew.
what was okay. I went down
the
this rabbit
original
hole.
snakes.
Yo!
I went down this
Wow, you went there. Okay.
That's where they always go with it, right?
Yeah, that is where they always go with it.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
You're like, oh, how original. You're bringing up Jews again. Great.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, what's our favorite topic on here after the blacks? It's the Jews. We're kind of like a right-wing podcast, except we don't end with "and they should die."
The only question for me is if they put it before or after Sasquatch.
Yeah. Well, it's after because they only want to have sex with one of those things, Sasquatch.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. No, you can tell. They're pretty honest about it. They're like, excuse me, Jew is nothing like Sasquatch. First off, Sasquatch is
You
a
know-
benevolent being. The Jews are a malice. And second off, I wouldn't have sex with a Jew.
When you think about a lot of the stuff this past couple years that just became like mainstream acceptable, like QAnon mom type shit to like be really into, it's really sad and like such a missed opportunity that the brief Sasquatch eroticism boom, that the sex with Sasquatch thing that just blew up for a couple months, that wasn't a right wing thing, and that they aren't still like
They are.
totally like.
Yeah, they are. Oh my God, they're still writing erotica about it. That guy's still in the party. They didn't kick him out of the party, dude. Like he's still hanging out.
That seemed more like left wing cranks having fun though. Like it didn't
No.
seem like, you know, the way right wing cranks would be about it, where they have like a real concern that they think about
That was
sex with a
that was a
cryptid all the
Doma
time.
Republican who wrote that, and his friends were like, "This is cool, actually." You
So it's
misread that
exactly-
situation. That dude was deeply Republican. He was like, "Oh, this is amazing. This is fucking great."
Well, maybe it is a part of something, even if it didn't go huge and mainstream. Maybe he's still doing it. I wonder if anybody. Shit.
Yeah.
I wish I could think of.
That guy's still going to the Sasquatch meeting.
I wish I could
who
think of
you're
that guy.
worried about? Oh yeah, that dude is still there. Definitely. You don't even have to think very hard about this. Is the guy who wants to bang Sasquatch going to the Sasquatch? Yes.
Okay.
Where else is he
I
gonna
can't-
hang out?
I think it's a good thing that I can't remember this guy's name, because we're just gonna check and see. We're just gonna check and see how well Google is working, and we're just gonna check and see like how much notoriety he still has. We're just gonna type the words "Bigfoot sex guy" into Google.
Yeah, that's gonna go well.
Okay. July 12th, 2019. Man has sex with Bigfoot! Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark. Okay. Man charges Bigfoot with molestation. This is 2008. Man claims to have sex with female Sasquatch. Okay, this is wrong. Bigfoot sex. No. Bigfoot erotica guy.
We gotta make the porn parody. Anybody grab a Dan, get a Sasquatch costume. We got work to do.
Why me?
Because it'll be hot and gay.
From
Oh,
2018.
really?
Yeah.
Shit, never mind, dude. I'm on it. Never mind. All right,
I
you
mean, it's
told
a
me.
Sasquatch. It's not like a little gnome or nothing.
Yeah,
It's a
no, 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 no,
Sasquatch.
no. Okay, oh, hold on now. Hold on. I mean, you convinced me. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
That's like
Don't
Well,
sell past the close here.
yeah, you don't need to sell past the close, my friend. I'm already on.
he has like he has like a 16-inch cock, and then on the side of it, it has like a tree branch, like it has a little separate branch coming out with a little leaf on it.
Jake, you can tell these guys never learned like how to do sales properly, right?
Like it's like the beef jerky commercials, except there's gay sex at the end.
Yeah.
You gotta feed your wild side.
Feature wild side. Okay. July 30th, 2018. Bigfoot erotica and Denver Riggleman explain. Is that the guy? Is the guy's name Denver Riggleman?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said wriggle butt. That's even better.
No, not wiggle ass.
No, you're confusing him with the Wiggle Bottoms.
Yeah.
Okay. Virginia's
That's
fifth
a Harry
congressional
Potter
district.
character.
Okay. Yeah. This is the guy. Okay. My opponent, Denver Riggleman, running mate of Corey Stewart, was caught on camera campaigning with a white supremacist. Now he has been exposed as a devotee of Bigfoot erotica. This is not what we need on Capitol Hill. Accompanying picture, just a crotch shot of a Bigfoot with the word censored, on an obviously like 16 to 18-inch cock that you cannot see
Yeah.
because of a black box. Okay, so I think we got the whole story there, don't you guys? I mean, that seems like.
I kind of feel like that has to cover most of it.
I mean, I wonder if he was elected or. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, depending on the district, obviously. Well, I don't know why
This is
what
like.
I'm saying is the crazy thing, or like, oh, Dan, you're so silly that the Republican Party would elect the guy who's like into fucking Bigfoot.
I really did. I glanced at the Bigfoot erotica thing in passing, and I assumed that if it was any kind of cranks that were even remotely serious about the existence of cryptids or the possibility of having sex with them, I assumed that it was generally left-wingish cranks who were
No,
mostly having a good time.
you
And
misunderstood that situation completely, my friend. You did not read the room in there. Like, how did you not notice the Nazi flags and the I want a Bigfoot flag were like the same color?
that's very true. It is sort of a fucking Nazbol kind of color scheme for the.
But like
He's
for
got
real.
a whole shrine and trophy case devoted to it.
Yeah. It's right next to that story about Hyperborea that ends with like it's the Jews' fault that Hyperborea fell. Like,
The whole building looks like a cracked in, except for that one spot. It kind of just draws the eye.
Yeah, somehow a bunch of Jewish people in that era, which like what, like we're all like a foot taller than everybody was back then.
yeah.
Yeah, somehow a bunch of Jewish dudes in that era like destroyed the nation of what is it? It's supposed to be like Conan. That's where Conan's from.
Yeah.
The laser, always back to
Well,
the
yeah, they
laser.
must have used the laser. I mean, it's the only way they could have gained an advantage to destroy the country of Conans. Like, I mean, that's it's the only way.
That sounds like a badly summarized X-Men plot.
Well, the wait, okay, it's not all Conans. The boys are all Conan. The ladies are all Red Sonja.
Yeah.
That's when white people think of Hyperborea. That's what they think.
And then they
Is a bunch of
fractured the Earth and they went to the moon.
a bunch of straight white cis
They went to
people.
Mars and colonized it, and now they live there. So every time
They're-
you see Mars, you see little red people there. Yeah.
That's who they are. The Hyperboreans flew on Valkyrie wings to settle on Mars.
The thing is, like, the Republican Party is really into baby fantasy. So, like, every baby fantasy you can think of, every fucking fairy tale, every myth, even the ones that contradict each other, it doesn't matter. They're like
Right.
super into it because like that's how they conceive of the world. They're not smart. Like
Right.
it's irresponsible. Like sometimes democracy is really irresponsible because it lets people who should have political power and equity not have it, and it lets people who should have equity but not political power have all the political power they can want, and it just ruins their fucking brain.
Yeah. I mean, that's really it. I mean, you fucking, that crossover is inappropriate, right?
Yeah.
Like, they gotta pay, if you ever want to have a democracy, listener, anybody listening to us tonight, if you ever want to go try a democracy somewhere, you gotta pay more attention than these cocksuckers have to, where there's overlap between the motherfucker that has equity in the project and the motherfucker that is in charge of the project. You gotta think different shit for every project that you encounter that you're going to do with your big structure. Like, okay, what about this one?
Well, this is kind of this is kind of like right now the Republican Party strategy. It's very similar to like their strategy of like, you know who would be really good in the anti-groomer movement? It would definitely be the pedophiles. We definitely need more pedophiles in the anti-child kidnapping, anti-child sex movement. Like,
Did they get the one guy that had a bunch of money in the kidnapping movie? Did they get him on assault or possession? Because
kidnapping,
I saw his
possession.
stupid fucking mugshot.
You know, they got him on physically kidnapping a child by force.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah. You know,
awesome.
just a normal Republican Tuesday at this point.
How long did it take after the movie
Sorry,
was made?
may I see your badge?
Yeah. What about may I see your vag? And then the Republicans are like going into bathrooms and like looking at people's genitals. Like the thing is, like every one of their like every time they complain, they make a valid complaint. Like it is bad to kidnap children and do that to them. Their solution is like we should do the kidnapping. Whoa, Sparky, let's settle down a minute and
Yeah.
rethink what we just said.
Yeah.
we,
And I'm not even saying, I'm not even sitting here cheering for the feds or anything. Okay, listen, what, for all we know, and this is most likely it, is for about 3 weeks after that fucking movie came out, a bunch of dudes that knew he was doing this shit, because that's how they are now, were sitting around the fucking office like, okay, we're gonna let this jack off have a couple of victory lap weekends where his movie is the cool conservative thing to talk about before we fucking roast his ass. Because we want a clean case. We want it real nice for us, you know? We want it to be so nice for us. We're gonna wait and let this motherfucker keep doing this shit for a few weeks. That's probably what happened, because that's generally what happens with this type of shit now, right?
yeah.
Like, I'm not saying they're awesome for busting his ass or anything. I'm just saying, like, anybody that is still surprised when this shit happens, right after the big right-wing moral epic comes out, whatever it's fucking about,
That
is
guy
anybody
do it.
even still surprised? Yes, that the guy does it. Is anybody even surprised?
It's
Like, they got it so
irresponsible if they
bad,
are.
man. They're so fucked up. I mean, liberals are fucked up, but they're still like in control of a lot of their faculties. Like, these motherfuckers,
But in the
they've
same
got
way
it
that a
so
dog
bad.
is in control of its faculties. Like they're not as smart.
Right.
Like they all have college degrees, but college degree is evidence apparently of like specialty knowledge in one field. It is not actually any kind of like common sense or like ability to critically think. Like critical thinking
They
is
are.
not.
I will go on record as saying they are so dumb. They are so dumb.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
So very, very dumb.
they think they legitimately think that you can operate an anti-racist society while letting racists go on TV and do whatever they want. Like in an actual anti-racist society, Nick Fuentes would just be in jail and not allowed to speak in public.
Yeah.
Like his public statements would have to be heavily censored to merely just him denying wrongdoing in his pedophilic tendencies. Like
If a
that's
society had the merest whiff of a concept of the paradox of tolerance, they would not tolerate his ass walking around and saying things.
no, like Matt Walsh would be in a gulag somewhere for his repeated for him repeatedly expressing his desire to commit murder and rape against kids. Like you wouldn't let these people. The problem is most of these conservative commentators are just like violent sex offenders, and you wouldn't just like in a normal society you wouldn't let them go around being violent sex offenders.
Right.
You just wouldn't do that. Like the fact that like we're like, no, we have to beat them in the marketplace of ideas. Like, no, you have to beat them with your fists. Like that's the only way to stop this kind of behavior because do you hear what he's saying? You
Look,
need
it's not
pepper
time.
spray and a restraining
It's not.
order.
It's not time yet. The feds are, they got all the wires down.
He's just standing in the back, breathing loudly in your ear.
Yeah. He walks up behind you and breathes like a stalker, and you're not at all concerned about what he's doing. You're like, no, we'll beat Matt Walsh on morals. No, you need policemen to beat him with heavy objects.
Like it motherfucker's not even. They're not even concerned about. Like I don't know. Is it fair to? Is it fair to say? Is it fair to say that even though the conservative now lives a life where they constantly surprise themselves and end up in jail from pooping on Pelosi's desk and shit,
Yeah.
or end up bleach poisoning themselves or whatever, is it fair to say that even though the conservative now lives a life where they constantly are shocked or caught off guard or surprised, the liberal suffers a condition where they can now do nothing that is going to surprise them. They can now do nothing that they didn't, already kind of conceive of. Like, perhaps there are still normal human beings somewhere in the middle of this paradigm, but like, they're at such extremes of behavior. They're so identical in their beliefs, except for a few small culture war things, but they've migrated to these extremes of behavior.
Well, of course the water is going to make me grow two heads, but that doesn't mean that their water's bad.
It's
Yeah.
the only water we got.
You should have seen the other guy. He had 3 heads. That makes me feel
Yeah.
better about my 2 heads.
Yeah.
You got to be practical. There's no other water, so at some point you're going to come up with an extra head. You might as well get comfortable with it now.
What do you
And we
recommend?
can do
we
student loan
fix the water?
forgiveness. We can do
What do you
student loan forgiveness for two-headed students who have had two heads for at least 3 years.
Who hate
Over
black people
$500,000.
outside
But you got to apply, and you got 2 heads, so we want 2 applications.
Yeah. You
If you
can't have it
assist,
unless you explain how your 2 heads was a problem.
And
or
your
hardship.
penis counts as a head if you're white.
Yeah.
if you assist your second head in filling out their application, you got to check this box that says that you did that, and then we're probably going to audit your shit. And if you don't check that fucking box, and we find out that you filled out your application for your second head, which only has 45% of a human brain, mind you, we fucking find out that you did that shit, that you did not do what you were legally required to do, and put a pencil in that motherfucker's mouth so he could lean down to fill out his own goddamn application for fucking government aid with no fucking help from you. If you don't fucking do that, and we find out that you fucking filled out his application for him, you didn't check that box, we're not going to give you anything. We're going to take your money and we're going to give it to some asshole that sells guns in Ukraine. Because fuck you. But yes, assistance is available.
Again, and what you're looking at is like liberals are smarter than conservatives, but in the same way that dogs are smarter than inanimate objects, or like the severely schizophrenic. Like it's not a fair comparison. It's dogs the schizophrenia, not like a ranking of people on their skill. And,
5 times blue equals radiator.
Yeah, and people would be like, "Oh my God, what you said is like genocidal." I'm not calling for anybody to die. You know what I am calling for? I'm calling for these people to actually stop being like dog-like in their responses, like stop being a trained animal.
It'd be nice if they weren't voted for too, but that might be asking too much of the populace in general.
Yeah.
Whoa, heel.
Okay.
Heel.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I guess I won't do that. But like, did you know the Republican Party is doing this? Like, did you know that you're just like a dog? Like, shut up. You don't get to critique them anymore. You've lost your opportunity. Yeah, it's gonna be an awesome election season. I still can't wait till Trump owns Rob in public, but that's about it. Like that's all I'm looking forward to. Then I hope he promptly gets arrested. Yeah, they've my wife just asked, did they just arrest him again? Like they've arrested him like 9 times. Every week they're
why
gonna
not?
keep arresting Trump and indicting Trump. Like that's what's gonna happen now forever. They're just gonna continually do that instead of like following through with it. They'll just be like, what if we just add another indictment? That'll keep the dog.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Was the
so
thing they
worried
ran
about
with-
being shamed. Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the one where the thing that they ran with was that this time he might really get fingerprinted? Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Did you
yeah.
say fingered? Did you say fingered and printed?
No. And I
You're
want one
close.
last little thing. Right? So this is a side, but this is part of Dan's new thing where you can't be a victim if you help perpetrate a crime, right? This is my new radical take. It's but pissing off the left really fucking bad. Um, they're the big fucking swimming organization has decided that they're going to start robbing trans athletes of their fucking wins to shit on trans
No,
people.
to
And
go back and round this shit up, is that just like the award, or is that like any kind of monetary compensation as well?
probably monetary compensation as well. Like, let's be realistic.
So is this another time when a culture war thing is just used to like transfer big chunks of cash around, like for
To
some kind of reason?
Robbery.
mostly to whites and whites, yeah,
Stick 'em up,
Yeah.
kid. Robbery.
yeah, most definitely. But in it, Caitlyn Jenner's like, yeah, this isn't transphobic, and it isn't, um, it isn't anti-trans in the slightest. This is fine. And to which I would be like, they call you fucking Bruce and call you a child rapist, right? And like, the people you're appealing to, and it's great because the head of the swimming, like you can tell based on his statement, he's like, we're not saying that trans women can't compete if they didn't transition. If they transition by age 12, they can compete, but also you shouldn't transition by age 12. So no, you shouldn't compete. You know what I mean? And like you can tell, he's definitely a religious conservative of the Muslim variety, right? Which is like,
Yes.
the Muslim conservative is notoriously pro-trans, right?
Yeah.
So
Right, right, right.
like you can tell just in particular, this guy is a particular type of scumbag, and Caitlyn Jenner's like, yeah, it's not bigoted. Why are you saying that? It's mean.
I thought that motherfucker had lost relevance because so much shit popped off with related issues, and you didn't really see a whole lot of them trotting that motherfucker out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're still a public figure because they're just a Kardashian in our society. Having wealth makes you a public figure.
Yeah, I
You
guess
know,
so. Yeah.
that doesn't change anything. But
Man, all I'm saying is they could have had bitches.
could have had bitches, and this is what
Yeah.
they're wasting their time on. Um,
Yeah.
but the point there is like again, Caitlyn Jenner is actively promoting transphobia. So when Caitlyn Jenner suffers the same kind of rhetoric, she's not the victim of transphobia. To put it another way, a Hitler was occurred, but she wasn't no victim. The
Yeah.
transphobia she endures is specifically a byproduct of her own fucking actions. Imagine I
The,
point a fucking loaded handgun at my foot and pull the trigger. I'm not the victim of a shooting. I intentionally shot myself in the foot. I'm not a victim. I was shot in the foot, but I'm not the victim of it. I am not suffering anything because this was a consequence that was wholly in my purview, under my control. I could have not done the thing.
World War II was a great tragedy which claimed many lives, including, tragically, the life of the German leader himself.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? Hang on.
Famous German painter.
Yeah, including one
Famous German
Austrian
painter Adolf
painter.
Hitler was tragically killed near the end of the war.
Yeah, Austrian painter Adolf Hitler was killed at the end of the war. That's that kind of reporting, and that's my point. Like you,
Tragically lost his life.
tragically, he was a victim of suicide. No, that was he did one
No,
good thing in
didn't
his
you?
life.
Didn't you see the black guy that did this?
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't say they have not cooked up an idea that in the bunker a black guy or a Jew shot him.
Appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah,
In the 40s, there was no suicide awareness, and this is the result.
yeah. But like that's my fucking point. You are not the victim of the logical consequences of your own actions. There was a fella a while back. He said, in his everyday life, he wanted to stop hearing the N word so much. So he said the first thing I did was I stopped saying it myself and stopped signaling that it was appropriate to say it around me. And guess the fuck what? Outside of
Yeah,
actual bigots, I stopped hearing that word all the time. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I'm not saying like, oh, well, he's the, I'm not saying that he's bad for having ever said it. This individual is not like, he's not pale like me. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Right.
that's his decision. But the point is, it's his decision to make. But he is no longer the victim of his own actions. He is no longer the cause of part of his own malaise, and he is signaling that it is inappropriate to speak like that around me. He's conveying that it's wrong, and people respond. At least the decent ones do. The ones that you'd want to
Yeah.
associate with are fucking, they're the ones who are fucking listening to it, and they're not
Right.
doing the thing. So now
You don't
he's
have to do.
experiencing that less. So now when he hears it, he's directly 100% a victim of. He's not a, he is not
y-
this is not the logical consequence of his own actions. This is now like he is being victimized, and you can switch that by behaving in a manner in accordance with the
Yes.
rest of fucking society.
Yes, he was successfully able to affect his immediate environment.
Yeah.
He did not have to waste his time doing like a big snooty fucking op-ed about how much better he was than everybody else and how he wishes people would stop being so terrible for conservatives to fucking roll their eyes at and make fun of on fucking Ben Shapiro's program. He didn't have to do that, right? That he didn't waste any time doing that. He just decided to adjust his immediate environment to what small and effective way that he could, and it immediately paid dividends, and it was nice for him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So
Well,
are we pointing out lay down with dogs, wake up with fleas?
kind of, yeah. Like that logic, though, like it's kind of accurate. Like if you're gonna go ahead and roll around in the shit, I don't know why you're worried about. Like I don't know why you're confused that you're now covered in human shit.
yeah.
Like you are like the logical cause of your own problems right now. And again, like Caitlyn Jenner will be the first to be like, I can't believe that person was transphobic to me. I can. You invite transphobia to be around you. So when you are the alleged victim of transphobia, it is entirely because you went, "Oh yeah, if you're transphobic, I'm fine with it." And
Maybe
then you whip
She
around
doesn't. She
hypocritical
doesn't
stuff.
get that she's the joke.
To them,
I think
yeah.
there's an equivalent. There's an equivalent for every kind of conservative character that corresponds to some perceived marginalized group, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely a black conservative who is exactly like this, but I just can't think off the top of my head.
Oh
I
yeah, it's Jesse. Jesse, what's his name?
Oh, the one with
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, bam.
what's his big tagline? Indubitably, actually,
Um, it's
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
amazing.
If he went to the hood,
Stupid.
if he went to the hood and he was pushed and shoved around and called names and had his pants taken off and then he got his wallet took and then people were laughing hysterically as he went jogging out of the hood with no pants on, if that happened to him, he would claim to be a victim of a crime.
Yeah. He invites like, and that's the thing. He invites anti-blackness. I don't know what to tell you.
Yes,
Stop inviting
yes,
anti-blackness. Like,
yes,
you can't prevent a white bigot from being a white bigot, but what you can do is you can not help them. You can
yes.
refuse to aid and abet their behavior. You can refuse to not be their accomplice. Like,
Maybe
it's
there's
the
a
same
different,
thing.
deeper.
If you go out, like, again, I can't stress it enough. If you go out and say, like, I enjoy aiding sexual offenders be sexual offenders, but I don't like it when I suffer a sexual offense, I'm sorry, pal. It don't work like that.
fucking fucking maybe there's a deeper level to it, specifically like for the black character. Like, it's going to vary based on which identity group it is and which character it is. It's going to vary how hurtful and ironic and stupid and awful it is, right? Like, the black one though is especially like deeply seated and hurtful. Like characters like Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice from the
Right.
Bush era,
Yeah.
right? Like, they also were condescending to, 99.9% of black people that ever have existed anywhere. Like, they did it in these incredibly slight ways, and they always waited for the perfect opportunity, and then, we got all hyped up thinking that the liberals were gonna do it differently. And, the very first thing Barack Obama does when he gets in there is make a Bill Cosby ass pull your pants up speech. Like, trying to cover his ass like people think that it's going to be black party time all the time now. Well,
Yeah.
all the fucking black people that I worked with at the time, and that I fucking know down here, partied their fucking ass off just because they thought it was cool, and then went right back to normal, working their fucking massively demanding jobs, which is what all the fucking black people that I know do. Like, there was no big endless party where they went out and made fun of white people more than they already do, which
It would be. It
There was
would be funny.
there was nothing like that happened, and that motherfucker was covering his ass because of the white perception that something like that would happen after he got elected. He got elected twice, and it is not Freaknik every day now in America. Like, I can look out in the street and tell you right now that there is no fucking Freaknik happening. It's very disappointing, and there's not even a fucking Freaknik in Atlanta anymore, is what I hear.
Nope. They
I don't know if
they
that's-
killed. In fact, they lynched Freaknik in Atlanta.
There's too many
Yeah.
black people.
Too many.
Yeah.
They were like, we got to call their numbers. This Freaknik fella's got to go.
It was
kind
like,
of got it.
man. It was like, man, we can't appropriate this. We got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fucking terrible there. I know you guys already know about how bad the Cop City thing was.
Is still ongoing.
Will be tomorrow.
Oh yeah, but I mean specifically how much anti-riot shit they used on people that went to the big shindig. I mean specifically that part. I mean I know you guys know how bad that shit was.
Oh yeah, they shot my man's 59.
Yes, a lot of very cool,
With his
like
hands up.
Yeah.
a lot of very cool, very well-meaning, very positive, very frustrated people that we know on here and other places went to that shit. You know, really more just intending to get together. There was less violent energy around that fucking thing than almost any protest I can think of. You know, and yet, you know, just rolled up on them like they were fucking Antifas trying to fucking
No, but the conspiracy is they hate the right.
yeah. It really sucks down there right now. Shout out to anybody that listens to us. It's in Georgia, and good fucking luck with that shit.
Yeah. That place is terrible. Georgia is a shit
I mean, I make
place.
fun of
Oh,
South
and
Carolina.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine with the heat. Oh,
Oh God. Yeah, it's like that, and it's 105 fucking degrees every day down there right now.
didn't they just pass some shit that they don't have to give them AC anymore?
Yeah.
Probably. That sounds about right. Yeah.
They're
Wait
just sitting
for-
around thinking of ways to fuck with them.
It's like it's incredible. Isn't that the town where there was a couple of hangings in response to 2020?
Yeah.
The jewel of the South. Yeah.
Well, usually that's a lot of extra effort. They just shoot them and move on.
You know, I recall
Like,
Atlanta.
this time.
As I recall, Atlanta was getting pretty out of fucking hand in the 1850s, as I recall. How did we solve this? How did we solve this Atlanta problem last time?
Well,
I don't remember. I remember it was really out of
Excellent
hand.
communication.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
We talked
was-
to them really well.
It was listening to their ideas in the marketplace of ideas in a respectful manner. That was what solved the Atlanta problem before, because I distinctly remember
That was exactly what it was.
it was out of hand. It was like a second capital for the nation. The things were getting way out of control. And then after that, Atlanta settled the fuck down for a little while. And I don't remember exactly why, but it must have been reasonable, both sides, respectful communication.
Must have. Otherwise.
Right? Yeah, anything else would be wrong.
What else could it be?
Anything else, we are clearly told, by the people that would have solved this Atlanta problem back then, by the same people, we are clearly told that you cannot do a violence, that everything is peaceful,
Yeah.
You gotta check the skin.
Check your shit now because oh boy. But yeah, it's.
But I think that's how we should solve the Atlanta problem that we have again now, is we should do the same thing. We should do whatever peaceful thing that the government originally did to Atlanta to solve the Atlanta problem. That's what we should do.
do. That seems like it would work.
He talked it out,
Yeah.
He sat there and he listened, which, he's really busy. Everybody's really busy, You got to rush around, if you're not like really wealthy or, some kind of upper class, anytime you spend sitting around talking about politics and the country, man, I mean, it's expensive time, I'm sure that's what he did.
Sherman played Goodnight. Sherman read Goodnight Moon, but it was fire. Good night, fire. Good night, burning building.
You know, by the time he got to the end of that
Good night,
pleasant
Atlanta.
bedtime story,
Peace out, Atlanta, you stupid bitch. Oh, Christ. Well, I guess that's the end of our show. We're going to end on a positive tonight.
Give me a couple of moments. I was
Very
gonna look up good
healthy
night moves.
episode.
Yeah. Oh my. It was it's been a good one. I appreciate everybody showing up. We had the whole crew tonight. I'm very happy with that. We had Cenk Engels, Michael Jordan Peterson, we had Juniper Nest, and we had last but not least the true horror. I love you all. Don't die.
Good night, Mississippi.
Night, America.
Night.
night Atlanta.
Special good night to Atlanta.
Night, Vicksburg.